Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Curtis, and in this video we will be continuing with the rendering process. So in the first part we took the drawings from AutoCAD and we sent it across the Maya where we created the model and assigned all the materials and so on. So now we just basically exporting that same file as a FBX so we can open it in Maya, in Lumion, and start working on the shaders. So you see when you take the model from Maya and we assign the random colors, those colors are basically like a placeholder to tell Lumion that each color is basically a different object and would need a different material assigned to it. So now we just go in and select each one of those colors and basically change the properties. So instead of having to go and do each individual molding, if each one of the moldings have the same material, when you go into Lumion, you just change your material for one. Now, with that in mind, if you need for some reason to have two different shaders on the molding, so let's say the big moldings you have white, and you have smaller moldings that need a cream color, what you would need to do is you need to assign a separate materials for both items, and then when you export it you'll be able to edit each one individually. So the texturing process pretty simple. Lumion has a wide asset library with pre-designed shaders that you could use as a base, and then you could go in and edit the specularity and the reflection. You could add some weathering so the material would look like it's been there for a while. Certain things would grow moss, other things would get dirty and look a bit cracked, so it's pretty decent that they have that weathering feature in it. So now I basically just going through and trying to select everything and add all the materials, and now adding additional houses from Lumion library itself. So the reason for doing this is when you create a render, you don't want that is basically just one house just floating in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't look finished, it looks like something missing. So you want to create the environment around that. So by adding trees and houses and people and so on, you would do that. Here I would be doing the perimeter wall to divide the lots. The nice thing about Lumion is you could link the existing file in Lumion to the file that you output from your modeling software. So by updating the FBX file from Maya, I would just need to go into Lumion, select a material, and then go to edit and update model or re-import model. And what it would do is it would re-import the FBX file with all the new updates. The existing materials and stuff that you did on it before would stay, but the new geometry would come in. And if the geometry has similar texture to something that you already assigned a shader to, that geometry would automatically get the shader for it. So pretty fast workflow. Now because all the materials are done, starting to look at adding in some foliage. So this is just personal preference. For these models that we create, the client didn't design the landscaping or anything, so we just being creative here just to get the renders to look pretty so we could do a presentation at the end. But this is personal preference. Some people would do, instead of doing a perimeter wall, they would do just a hedge. Or what you could do is Lumion has this basically like a ivy, so on the perimeter wall you could actually have ivy growing up on the wall itself, which it looks pretty cool. just remember to save. That is one of the big things. Always remember to save your work. So you can see playing around with some leaf and so on, but I just find that it wasn't working. So I took that out and now just copying across some of the trees. So and this is basically cheating a bit, but the client for the small house wouldn't be seeing the big house, and because it's two individual clients but I rendering it together to save time, you can afford to cheat like that because it wouldn't be noticeable at all. Same thing with these trees in the background. The trees basically they're just as you know, a placeholder basically to break up the just the mountainscape in the back, because in reality you wouldn't see that. It would have something in the background, and the tree is basically just like a nice addition. So you would see a part later on where I started to adjust the cameras, and while looking through and seeing the yard on the opposite side, I noticed the same thing and went in and just added some trees just to fill some dead space. Just adding in some people from the library, and I think after this character here we would be looking at setting up the cameras. Oh no, the grass, we add in some grass. So apart from just the material shader, Lumion has this kind of decent grass feature where you could actually make the grass grow, adjust the length of the grass and the wildness, and add stones and, you know, different types of flowers in between. And here we are doing the camera adjustment. So the first thing I do when creating a new camera is set the focal distance at 35mm, and from there I just move it around to where I want the shot, and then go in and start editing each individual camera to get the you know, the look that I want. So I'd start with the basic one of the basic templates that Lumion has, and then start editing it from there to get the different skies and time of day and everything. So this is where there was this patch this empty space across the road, and even though it doesn't make a big difference, for that one shot you would see it. So just add in some stuff just to fill the space. So at this point I just started with the default daytime effects that they have, and started to make some edits to the clouds and the position of the sun, and doing the reflections on the glass and so on. 2-point perspective also, because naturally a camera distorts the image and you want clean vertical lines up and down. And once one of the images complete, you can just copy the effects to the other images, and the only thing that would need to be done is edit the reflection. So once the reflection on the windows are done, that would be it. Here I'm just doing this for 2 passes. What do you call that? Is like a pencil style. So on our drawings, the cover page is always this pencil 2D effect, that kind of unique to us, and it's just something to set yourself apart from everybody else. So now everything is set up, just going through and doing all the final renders. So there's the beauty pass. This is the Z-depth, and when we go to Photoshop and explain what each pass is for, and then after this the final thing we do is specularity, and this is basically for the reflections. So now that all the renders are done, I did 6 renders, or 6 images in total, so that's 18, and in the next video we'll look at it in Photoshop and edit.